Hello, I'm here during the lunch rush with Janice, who owns her own food truck.
Best cheesesteaks in town.
Janice traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for her food truck business. We're here where she needs us most.
They sure are.
We make it so easy for her to save, with customised coverage that grows with her business. Sorry, I just get so emotional talking about saving folks money.
Not this onion I'm chopping?
It's just so beautiful. Oh yeah, no, it's the onion.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Hey guys, it's Lynda Lippin and welcome to yet another episode of the Private Pilates Goddess podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think we're just going to finish up the high intermediate reformer, and then in the next episode I'll finish up with what we have for advanced. And when we do advanced, it's actually not that many exercises. We can do that definitely in a single episode. So we ended last time with semicircle. Now we move to chest expansion. I love chest expansion on the reformer, especially on a classical reformer, again, because of that lack of ball bearings, allows you to really pull into the position and holds that time under tension and work on kind of where you are without so much pull back on your springs. Now we're still on the two springs. We are now kneeling. We are facing the back of the reformer. Toes are hooked over the back edge of the carriage. That is important. It helps maintain stability when you're upright. I always remind clients when they're in this position that it is a little bit harder to balance when you're on your knees versus standing, because you don't have the play of your ankle and foot to kind of help with the balance. And that they just need to be mindful that they are on a moving carriage and that their job in the exercise is to really hold it together while they're moving. The second thing that I want you to think about here in chest expansion is that chest expansion is very much the same exercise as pull straps, but in a different relationship to gravity and with the addition of balance. So remember that chest expansion is an exercise for the lats. It is an exercise for the back body, and then an exercise for the front body and holding itself together so that we can balance and use everything, right? We just inhale, pull the straps back, look right, look left, look center, arms go forward. Now, you can do it without the head turn. You can do it playing with time under tension. I like to have a nice, good fist grip on the straps, not on the handles. And when you're this way, when you're pulling, the palms are facing in. Again, it's that same movement, except now we're dealing with balance. See where I am with this? Now, chest expansion, you can introduce in a much easier way on the Cadillac or the tower or the wall, the spring wall, using the bar, using arm springs, whatever you got. But chest expansion is a really important exercise. We're moving on an inhale. We're learning how to brace. We're learning how to extend and still hold stable. Then you got your thigh stretch. So now you're walking the knees forward to the shoulder blocks. You're adding a spring. You might be putting a pad across the springs. If your clients are going to go far back and they've got hair, I really recommend doing that, because getting your hair caught in the springs sucks. And depending on where you're working, if you've got women who are in a head covering or a scarf or something, again, you really want to be careful that things aren't getting caught in the springs. This is where putting a pad on top comes in super handy. The thigh stretch really is about stretching the thighs. I like to talk about this exercise as pressing down through the shins, pressing forward and up through the thighs, holding the body together as you bend from the knees. You want heavy spring on this because you want the assistance coming up. This is again another one of those exercises where we need assistance, right? If you're going to go back for a pretty far thigh stretch, you're going to need help getting up. And that's what those 3 springs provide. Then we turn around and we do some arm circles, or sometimes you may hear it called front chest expansion. Again, it's staying steady. So the feet are against the shoulder blocks, the hands are in the handles, or they're in the longer strap if you're using a double loop and you are doing arm circles. So you are probably on a 1 spring. I wouldn't go too light if you're on a balanced body, or a stot. I might go for a red or a blue, not a yellow, and you're going to do the arm circles. Now, what's important in the arm circles is that people are really bracing through their abdominal muscles, keeping their chest lifted and working through the back body to hold steady as they're reaching the arms forward. You do see you do see arm circles and chest expansion and thigh stretch kind of all over the studio. There are versions of all of it on the baby armchair. It's similar to rowing. There's versions on the Cadillac. Again, you can do it with the rollback bar. You can do it with arm or leg springs. This work shows up. That thigh stretch is also going to be very similar to your initial lift up and stretch back and swan on the high barrel, right? So you're starting to work on this concept of kind of hinging from the knees a little bit more. Then we go into Mermaid. So now we're getting some side body work. Now in the classical system, okay, Mermaid is done with the legs stacked. So both shins are against the shoulder blocks. You are sitting kind of, toward the back of the reformer a little bit so your legs can be on. And then your hand is on the foot bar towards the center or toward the back. And this is pressing with the legs and the arms. Okay, so that's why you want to be in this position where you can push with your shins as well as pushing with your arm, so that you really stretch the bottom of the body here. So you're stretching the ribs and the hips and the legs and the arms all away from each other. And then you come up, okay? Then you bring the hand closer to the shoulder block and take a big stretch over to the side. Now, for folks, why is this high intermediate? You may have learned this as a lower intermediate exercise because a lot of places just teach a modified version where, say, you're sitting in more of what in dance might be a 4th position, where you just have the top leg that's closer to the shoulder blocks against the shoulder blocks, and then the other knee is just bent in front of you with your foot on the ground. That's another way of doing it. Usually you could do this on 2 springs, but lots of folks are doing it on 1 spring as well. You know me, I'm always about strength and stability before we work on mobility. And this is why so many of these exercises, especially when we're looking at side bending and rotation, are coming in, later in the series than you might imagine. The Mermaid, again, there are versions everywhere. There's versions on every single barrel. There's versions on the Wonder chair where you could just do a very, just seated. You can do it kneeling. You could do it with legs outstretched. There are versions with the roll back bar on the Cadillac or wall unit. Literally, there's some side bending you can do just about everywhere. I believe the pedipole is probably the one place where we don't do quite as much of that for, just due to what that piece is made for. Then we go to corkscrew. Again, you've seen corkscrew on the mat. What's the difference with corkscrew on the reformer? The only difference is that you're going to have all springs on. You're actually not moving the reformer. You scooch down a little bit so your head is not quite in the headrest. You can hold on to the back of the shoulder blocks for stability. And then we go for normally the big corkscrew. So legs are going all the way up into jackknife, around to one side. You're coming down one side of your spine, coming across the sacrum, up the other side of your spine into the center, and then reversing that. Now, of course, you can also do the smaller versions of corkscrew here. Then we go into, say, the second long box. Now, in the second long box series, this shows up in the classical work. Again, this is where we're changing the order of the exercises slightly. And in the second long box, we're doing hamstring curls. Now, if you've never done hamstring curls, okay, there are two ways to get into it. Two ways. And your feet are going to be going into the shorter loops if you're doing a double loop, or they're going to be going into the leather loop if you're on a classical reformer. And say you've got two springs, okay? You're going to put the straps ideally around your arches. If that's not working due to cramps, due to foot issues, they can go around the ankles. Okay, you are on your stomach on the box. Your chest is towards the front edge of the box. Boobs might be slightly off or chest slightly off the front, and your hands or your forearms are at the front of the box so they can squeeze back and your shoulder blades can squeeze back. Heels together, knees a little bit open. It is a short move. It is a small range of motion, pulling heels to the seat, letting them go back. Heels to seat, go back. Make sure the hip flexors are long. So you're pressing your hip crease, trying to lengthen it as you pull into the hamstrings. Okay, that is the hamstring curl. You can also do it with one leg. Fun for everybody. From there, you go into the short box. We know the short box, we've already discussed it. Then we go into long spine, which we've done, knee stretches, which we've done, running, pelvic lifts, side splits, front splits, and then my favorite exercise, we end the intermediate 2 or the high intermediate reformer with Russian splits. Okay, so you've done your side splits, you've done your front splits, you're as loose as you're going to get. Now you stand on the carriage, the foot bar is up, you have 2 springs. You have a pad in the headrest, which is up. You have a pad on the caddy corner, on the corner of the foot bar. Okay. You're standing on the reformer facing the back. Your front foot comes onto the headrest. Your back foot goes slightly externally rotated, caddy corner into the corner of the foot bar. Your torso comes down, your hands come onto the shoulder blocks, arms are straight. Back leg is straight. You push that carriage out so that your back leg is straight, your front leg's at 90 degrees, your chest is reaching forward. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to straighten that leg forward. You can push a little with your arms. You can help with that. Straightening that leg, pushing the carriage forward, staying as low as you can, and then bending the knee back. And you do that a few times. Now, then you're going to work on balance. So then what I usually do is I have my clients come up a little bit, if it's possible for them, and bring their hands on top of their knees. Okay, in the front, lift their chest a little bit higher and do the same, straighten and bend that front knee. And then if it's available, I let them come all the way up. Arms are wherever they're good for balance. They can be out to the side, ultimately behind the head, lifting up the whole torso, straightening and bending that front knee. Then you just bring the hands back down, come out of it, switch legs. Now, at the end of that, you can do one big straight leg kind of split stretch forward, really dropping your torso, ear to the leg. But, many people can't. So if you can do that, great. The idea is to keep both hips as even as possible. So we're looking at the sits bone of the front leg reaching back. Good. And really working through the glute on the back leg. In this exercise, the back leg is the standing leg. Okay, so that one stays straight and strong, and it's the front leg that's moving or gesturing. The Russian split looks like a Russian split. You can also do it with the genie arm in front of the shoulders. And it is such a fabulous exercise in stability, in time under tension, in working the entire leg and working the entire torso. I love it. I love the Russian splits. And actually, I find that clients who have a hard time with the front splits often do a lot better with the Russian splits. So you can even think about, depending on the client, introducing the Russian splits before the front splits. The Russian split is kind of interesting because we don't necessarily see that full exercise in tons of places. However, we do see plenty of places on the chair, on the reformer, on the mat where we're working one leg. And those are the things that you want to really be thinking about. Also the hip extension and ultimately the stability. So guys, hey, we are now done with the high intermediate reformer. Next episode, we will go through the advanced and then we'll be done. All right. And then I will be moving on to some other juicy topics for you. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.